All right, welcome everybody. Hello. Thank you for joining us this afternoon in virtual Third Place Books here. My name is Sam. Many of you may recognize me if you're local here in the Seattle area. You might recognize me from one of our three stores, Lake Forest Park, Ravenna, or Seward Park, where I work in our author events program and maybe you've seen me up on stage introducing some of your favorite authors in the past. And now this year, while we've been mostly virtual and doing this author events program on the World Wide Web, piping it directly into your living room or wherever you find yourself today, I've been very lucky to introduce some of our favorite authors via Zoom. So thank you so much from wherever you are joining us. And we'd love to know where you're joining us from today. So sound off in the chat as you come on in. Let us know where you're from, who you are. We are so glad to have you all here. I have just a couple of announcements to make before we get started. First and foremost, tonight we are here this afternoon. We are here to celebrate books, and especially, of course, a very exciting book that many of you have pre-ordered and that we are so thrilled to be carrying at Third Place Books. The book is The Elderwise Way. We're going to drop a link in the chat to this book in just a moment where you can order it from Third Place Books and have it available for pickup at one of our three stores if you are here in the Seattle area. Or if you are somewhere else and would like this book shipped to you, we can do that as well. Third Place Books ships all over the country. We have media mail starting at $3.50, supporting our United States Postal Service, which Third Place Books relies on every single day. And we have other options as well. So don't be shy. Pick up a copy of The Elderwise Way. If you have one already, maybe you know someone else who needs one. We'll drop a link in the chat, and we hope that you will order this book and support your local bookstore, support your local authors. Your book purchase is what keeps Third Place Books going. We are a local independent bookstore and we love what we do, but everything that we do, from keeping the doors open in our stores, to shipping those books all around the country, to doing this author program online during the pandemic and during closures while we can't gather in the store, it is all supported by one thing and one thing only, and that is your book purchase. And coincidentally, your book purchase is also what supports local authors. It's what keeps things like The Elderwise Way, projects like this out in the world. It is what supports programs like Elderwise. So we thank you so much for your book purchase. Now, if you have questions tonight, and I imagine that many of you will, we've got a system for that. You can, if you hover at the bottom of your screen with your cursor, you'll see that there's a Q&A box just directly below you in the bottom of the screen there. You can click on that and you can punch in your question. You can type it in. We'll get to as many as we can at the end of the event. So please don't be shy. If you've got questions, put them in there, and we would love to answer as many as we can at the end of the event. Now, we're doing quite a few of these author events online right now, mostly using Zoom, just like we're doing now. We're doing 2 to 3 a week on average, sometimes more, and there's sure to be something else that you will enjoy. So if you enjoy the show today and you want to know what else we've got going on, I encourage you to check us out on our website, thirdplacebooks.com. You can check out our events calendar there, see what else we've got coming up. You can sign up for our email newsletter if you don't subscribe already. We're sending out 1 email a week right now, letting you know what else we have coming up. And you can follow us on social media if that is your cup of tea, at Third Place Books on most of the major platforms, and you'll get up to the minute notifications about the new events that we have coming up, new books, whatever's on our mind. We'd love to see you there, and we'd love to see you back here. So thank you so much for following us and checking all of that out. We are so happy today to be celebrating The Elderwise Way. I'm not going to talk too much about this book because we have several folks here who can tell us all about it, but we are so happy to be carrying this book and to be partnering with Elderwise. Elderwise, as many of you know, creates space for adults to age well through their Adult Day program, outreach programs, and special events held around the Puget Sound. They are a Seattle-based organization doing great work right here in our community. We'll drop a link in the chat to the Elderwise website as well, and we are so glad to be working with them. And today, my first guest, I'm just so thrilled to welcome to our virtual stage, is a dear friend of our store and a friend of mine, Elisabeth Mitchell. She is a bookseller at Third Place Books and a dear, dear friend of the store. And we are so glad to have her involved in this event and to have her helping us out today. Here to introduce Sandy and Ruth, please join me in welcoming our friend Elisabeth Mitchell. Thank you so much, Elisabeth.
Thanks. Thanks, Sam. And I want to thank a couple people, Ali and Kalani, behind the scenes at Third Place Books, and really all of Third Place Books for sponsoring not only this author talk, but all the author talks that we have been sponsoring, because I know they mean a lot to me, not just as a bookseller, but as a reader and book buyer. And I know that they mean a lot to a lot of people. So thank you. I also want to say it's been great to see in the chat boxes, some of you have gone ahead and introduced yourself to us. We can't see your faces, but we are reading the chat, so thank you very much. And I love it because some of you are actually chatting to each other because you realized a friend is also tuning in, which is wonderful, and I think speaks to the community that Third Place Books promotes and encourages, and that also Elderwise and the Elderwise Way promotes and encourages. So you can see this is a special event for me. In addition to being a bookseller at Third Place Books, Lake Forest Park, my background is in teaching and training, and more recently working in gerontology. And so I actually work with these two wonderful authors on educational endeavors for Elderwise. And that includes right now developing trainings for care providers and family and friends of someone who has dementia. And we are hoping as Elderwise to be able to offer these trainings beginning in early 2021. So that's on our agenda. Now, before introducing the authors, which I am going to get to do, I'd like to share just a little bit about what some others have said about the book, because I think it's a good way for us to start. So others have saying, reading The Elderwise Way, A Different Approach to Life with Dementia, opens the heart and mind to the awareness that cognitive losses do not eradicate the essence of a person. The book opens the reader to the possibility that someone with memory loss can still expand in ways of the heart. Though relationships will change, they can still be meaningful and loving. It does not minimize the loss and necessary adjustment required by all involved. It does, however, offer concrete examples of how to adapt and enjoy the relationship in its present form. It provides opportunities for growth, both for the person with memory loss and for the care partner. The Elderwise Way, A Different Approach to Life with Dementia, is filled with compassion and connection, humor and honesty. It reminds us of our own humanity and our deep capacity for love. So now, to introduce the two authors of The Elderwise Way, A Different Approach to Life with Dementia. Sandy Sabersky, whom some of you know as Shanta, has, for all of her adult life, focused her personal and professional attention on the fields of aging and spiritual growth. After more than 2 decades as a physical therapist, these two threads were brought together when she co-founded Elderwise in her home in 1997. Since then, Elderwise has become a leader in the field of enriched care for elders by pioneering approaches that provide real opportunities for persons with memory loss to have meaningful relationships. Ruth Neuwald Falcon is an Emmy Award-winning editor, writer, producer, web content creator, and blogger. She enjoys working collaboratively with other authors and filmmakers, and has also run a small business and been executive director of 2 nonprofit organizations. At the beginning of the pandemic, as a way of building virtual community and helping us all feel less isolated, she started the Corona Support blog on her website. It is still going strong. So now it's my honor to be with you both, Sandy and Ruth. I have questions for you both, and I'm pleased to know that I think sometimes we'll be able to hear snippets from the book. All right, so I'll start with Sandy. This book is based on your experience over more than 20 years as co-founder of Elderwise. What led you to write the book?
Thank you, Elizabeth. And it's really heartwarming to know everyone is out there. I'm sorry I can't see you, but I feel your presence. Thank you. I want to say, before I begin, I want to say something about Third Place Books that I'm not sure even the Third Place Books people know. And that is that Ruth and I wrote a good part of this book sitting in the Ravenna Third Place Books. So it's very meaningful and appropriate that we are having our opening launch, and it's very exciting, and we're happy to be here for that. It's so fitting, and we really appreciate it. So why did I want to write this book? Well, I had thoughts and ideas that I wanted to share. For one thing, I pondered some questions. What does it mean? Who are you if you have dementia? That was the question. Who are you if you have dementia? Can you progress spiritually with memory loss? Can spirituality and dementia go together? When we started Elderwise, we had kind of a working hypothesis. We hypothesized that people with memory loss could learn and grow. They could become more open, more loving, more joyful, more gracious, and other words like that. I wasn't positive it was true, but I had a feeling it was, and that was kind of the working hypothesis. So you see, as we age, we get closer to death. Now, I don't know what death is going to be like, but I do feel that it will be better if we can face death in a way that is open and loving and without fear. So pondering these ideas, pondering these questions over the years have led us to this approach of working with people with dementia. And we call it a spirit-centered care approach. It is this spirit-centered care approach and the understanding we have gained that I wanted to share in the book.
Okay, thank you. And Ruth, do you want to tell us a little bit about your involvement with the book?
Sure, I'd be delighted. Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Third Place Books. We spent so many hours and days sitting at Ravenna Third Place, so this is absolutely perfect. And when Sandy and I first started working together, she already had a good draft of the book, and we both initially thought that what I was going to do was function solely as an editor. But what we discovered as we started working together was that the edit turned into a rewrite and expansion in a voice that was still authentically Sandy's. I was able to function as the other, like the reader, with questions and both about her personal experience as well as the philosophical underpinnings of the Elderwise approach. And I was able to reflect and translate those ideas and stories into our writing process. And I was also bringing my own experience with dementia to the table. In the 80s, I co-produced a documentary about a family dealing with Alzheimer's disease, and my own father suffered from dementia. As I learned the principles and philosophy of the Elderwise Way, I resonated deeply with them, which contributed to our ability to write in a seamless way that surprised and delighted both of us.
All right, thank you. Sandy, what characterizes the Elderwise Way? What makes it unique?
This answer to that question is very important and also very simple. It is primarily a way of working with people in which you work from your own deepest part. We all may think of our own deepest part differently, but what we can do is we can call it our essence, our own deepest truth. And at the same time, we want to recognize and honor that same deepest truth, the same essence in others. This way of doing this it's a spiritual practice for the person who might be giving care, because you are in touch with your own deepest truth. And it's a very rewarding for the person on the receiving end of this, because they feel seen as important and valued and respected by this subtle attitude can make a big difference. So it's a way of being in the world where you have one hand on your heart and the other hand out working and being in the world.
Okay. And the book refers to frail elders. And Ruth, so I'll pose this to you. I think you might have a section of the book that you'd like to share on who is a frail elder.
I do, Elizabeth. How astute of you to know that. At Elderwise, we think of a frail elder in the same way as any other elder, except that their needs are greater and therefore they require additional support in one or more realms of body, mind, or spirit in order to function optimally. One of the goals of the Elderwise Way is to create circumstances in which anyone with whom we come in contact can be filled up and nourished on all levels. We are aware that we all need support in order to develop and thrive over the entire course of our lifetimes, and we also need certain environments in order to function optimally. When working with a frail elder, the goal is to create an environment and provide the appropriate support so that the person can flourish. The Elderwise Way is to provide supported opportunities for individuals so that they may meet their own needs for fullness and growth in the emotional, social, or intellectual spheres, opportunities that allow each person to claim their full wholeness.
Okay. And Sandy, do you want to add any more about the frail elder and support for that frail elder in the Elderwise Way?
Yeah, I can add a little bit. First, I want to just say that we are aware that people with memory loss, people with dementia are not always elder and they're not always frail. But the term, we couldn't find a better term. So we use this primarily to give the acknowledgement that a person who is giving care provides more than the average amount of caregiving. And I think especially we need to be aware and acknowledge during this time of COVID that, you know, our caregivers out there are really heroes. But back to the question of providing support, you know, in our society, we're very used to providing physical support. If the body needs a physical support, maybe I need somebody to hold my hand when I walk across the street, or I have eyeglasses to see better, or hearing aids so that aid me in hearing, walkers, canes, wheelchairs that help me transport more easily. So what we do with this kind of feeling of support is that we support people in other realms also. So let's say in conversation or discussion, somebody might need support in that arena. So we can call that supported communication. We can provide supported opportunities for people to be creative in the creative arts. And we can provide a supported time for people to have ritual or quiet time, opportunity for giving in their lives. So by providing support, we can offer people a fuller plate. They can be nourished on all levels.
All right. And the concept of wholeness seems key to the Elderwise Way. What does wholeness mean in the Elderwise Way? And Ruth, I guess I'm directing this to you because you may have something to say or a passage to read from the book on this.
Once again, you're right on, Elizabeth. Like we know what we're going to say. At least I do. I have the benefit of being able to read. We have a general societal understanding that if someone has had an amputation of a body part, the personhood, the who are you of that individual, their essence remains intact. But when a disease state affects the brain, such as in Parkinson's or schizophrenia, we may not be as clear in our answers, even more so with dementia. As brain function, the ability to think and remember progressively declines. How then do we answer the question, is this person whole? The Elderwise answer is a resounding yes. When I speak to someone, I speak to the whole, the depth of who that person is. I am not speaking to a broken leg or an amputation or dementia. I am not saying the problems with the body or brain are not losses. A broken leg is a loss, an amputation is a loss, and dementia is an even bigger loss. But we are more than our bodies and more than our brains. The core or essence of who we are is whole, always. This invaluable concept of wholeness is central to the spirit-centered model of care, which is the Elderwise Way. We treat all persons with the respect and reverence that acknowledges who that individual is at the very depth of their being. And that person, no matter what their age or level of function, will understand that you see them, that you see who they really are. They will feel that depth of respect and the dignity with which they are being perceived and addressed. The depth of who we are does not change whatever the outer conditions. It is not affected by illness or disease. This is our essence.
Thank you. Sandy, any more on wholeness?
Yes, I think that pretty much sums it up. It answers the question, who am I if I have dementia? And the short answer is, you are whole. You have not lost the essence of who you are. A person with memory loss has not lost the I of who I am. We had a physician participant one time that attended Elderwise, and he was fully cognizant of his memory loss. And he said profoundly, I have no choice but to live my life. As a care partner, caregiver, or friend, our challenge is to practice seeing this essence and not to be disturbed or distracted by outer things, like the condition of our clothing or the condition of our bodies. We are born, we live, and we die. And this sense of I goes with us. It stays with us this whole time. We had a woman once at Elderwise that was in her 90s, in her mid 90s. And she would say, I don't feel old. And I would look at her, say, really? You don't feel old? But I've come to understand, no, she didn't feel old because that sense of I hasn't changed. She's that same I that was with her when she was born is with her at 96. Her sense of I is with her her whole life.
And so in addition to that concept of wholeness, I know one of the things that struck me in reading the book is how important listening is. So Sandy, I'll direct this to you. Do you want to address careful, thoughtful listening?
Yes, thank you. So listening, we know what that is, but it goes hand in hand with another Elderwise practice, which is one of my favorite practices. It's called slowing down time, or fondly referred to as the Elderwise time zone. You see, the pace of the world can be so fast and overwhelming. even without dementia. When I was, one time I was visiting New York, and I was trying to find some location following somebody's directions. And I was on the subway, and I emerged from the subway, and suddenly it was kind of there was a little snow on the ground, and it was cold, and everybody was running. They were literally, it was a city where people were running, and I didn't know what to do. And so I think that gave me a little bit of a taste of what it's like when the world goes by too fast. As somebody with memory loss, you know, it takes longer to take in things. It takes longer to process information, and it can be even more overwhelming. I think part of the reason I like working with people with dementia is because I also like a slower time zone. Listening can be like a balm, a salve. It says, I'm not in a hurry. I have time. I can see you. When there's a slower pace, people can relax. They can open up. They can think about what it is they want to say. This active listening and presence says, I see you, I respect you, I think you have something to contribute, and it's important to me that I hear it in whichever way it comes out. I have something that I wanted to read too. Okay. We're lucky enough to be able to have some poems in the book from a poet named David Leake. David Leake is an intelligent, thoughtful, poised man. After he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, he began writing poetry. And he has allowed us to use 5 of his poems in our book that enrich, expand, and support our ideas. I'd like to read the last 2 stanzas of his poem entitled The God of Small Things. And it speaks to this idea of deep listening in a very beautiful way. There is a softness in me that I greatly appreciate. It reflects my wish to be carefully held, warmly explored by a thoughtful and sympathetic friend, which I suppose is why I am attentive to others. I don't sing, I can't dance, but I listen and find beauty in the tender center of hope that everyone seems to carry and few care to explore. David Leake.
Thank you. Throughout the book, there's also something, and one of you has already mentioned it already, a term, spirit-centered care. And so, Sandy, do you want to tell us a little bit more about spirit-centered care?
Yeah, I'll just round it out a bit. There are a number of tenets that go under this approach that we call spirit-centered care. The 2 of them, there's 5 total. 2 of them we've already talked about. That's working from your own essence and recognizing the essence of others. So working essence to essence, that's, you know, probably the main thing. Okay, then we just spoke about deep listening. That's the 3rd one. And there are 2 others that also go hand in hand. One is, it's called the sense of equality. So the sense of equality. So if we look at one another from a standpoint of essence to essence, then nobody's essence is greater or lesser than someone else's essence, no matter the outer circumstances, no matter the age and any other outer circumstance. So if we all know we're working essence to essence, it doesn't matter what our role is, whether we have dementia, whether we have anything else. It sort of provides that sense of equality. We're all working from the same baseline. And the second one that goes hand in hand with that, we call the us versus them phenomenon. So that alludes to the fact that a couple of things. One is that things can change at any moment. You know, a person who has had a total knee replacement, like when I was a physical therapy, I would see people that had knee replacements and we'd try to get range of motion. And then I would send them home to care for somebody with memory loss. So they went from a patient to a caregiver. Our roles can change from moment to moment. This us versus them is also, it's kind of a reminder. It's a reminder that, you know, if I don't think something is meaningful or worth my time, I'm not going to ask someone else to do it either. If I want to do artistic work, or if I want to write poetry, or whatever it is that I want to do, take a walk, I won't ask someone to join me in that if I don't think it's a valuable experience with the possibility for growth and enrichment. Yeah. So that leads us, this kind of spirit-centered care, it leads us to this idea of spirituality and dementia. These were some of the questions we pondered. And Ruth, if you wouldn't mind to read a little bit on a passage about spirituality and dementia.
Sure, I'd be glad to. If we define spiritual as getting closer to the deepest part of who we are, our essence, or as the process of feeling more and more connected to all that is, and understanding of the unity of existence, then there is no reason for that essential awareness to be diminished, even with a diagnosis of dementia. This was one of our theories when we began Elderwise, and the years have validated that hypothesis. If spiritual is closer to one's essence, one's true self, then it readily follows that spirituality can and does coexist with dementia. The deeper essence shines through the heart, and regardless of the presence of dementia, a person is able to continue to develop the heart sense qualities, kindness, joy, and love. This has certainly been my experience sitting around the Elderwise table with people affected by dementia. There are those who would argue that point with me. I have heard people say about a person in the later stages of dementia, there's no one left inside, there's nobody home. But in my opinion, while there's life in the body, that essence is never gone.
Thank you. And I'll just repeat it again. Our hypothesis from the beginning, what Ruth just said, you know, that people can become more open, more loving, more joyful. You know, after 20 years of experience, we without a doubt, feel that this is a possibility. And this is the reasoning. Besides, in addition to the experience, the reasoning is this. One, it's deeper. So that means the qualities of love, the qualities of joy, the qualities that we're talking about, graciousness, gratitude, these qualities are very deep. They're close to the heart. They're close to the essence. They're deep. And so that's why it's possible. And also, a person, another thing that we noticed is that a person who is blind, we know that they have an increased sensitivity with their fingertips. And just the same way, if the brain is not working that well, you have the possibility that the heart will take that place. There's a more openness of the heart that can become more expanded. There's become that increased sense of heart. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll just say I just have a couple more questions that I'd like to ask before we open up to Q&A from the audience. So for all of you with us in the audience, thank you for the questions that have already been posed, but please ask more questions so we can have more discussion when we get to that point. But first of all, Ruth and Sandy, you've both talked about a lot of concepts in the Elderwise Way, a lot of concepts that are really at the heart of the Elderwise Way. And so my question is, given those concepts and the lessons that you've learned from the past 20 plus years, how does that inform caregiving in a nursing home or by family members at home? Sandy?
Okay. So the Elderwise Way, spirit-centered care, it's a way of being. Anyone can work in this way. One time, I was interviewing someone. This was a long time ago when Elderwise was in my home. And I was interviewing someone to work at the program, and I was late coming there. And so I was worried and figuring out how I was going to apologize. And when I got there, this person had an apron on. She was lighting a candle. She was working. And so she didn't need any instruction. She didn't need anything special. It's a way of being. Anyone can work in this way. It's a way where we can slow down time. Slowing down time opens up our essence and allows space for others to open up. Being present to all during all activities, no matter what it is you're doing, whether it's tidying up in a resident's room, arranging flowers, looking out a window together, maybe assisting someone with a meal or a bath, or taking a walk. If you work with one hand on the heart and the other in communication with the other person, then it becomes what we spoke about. It becomes a practice for yourself, and it becomes just this feeling of respect for the other person. So anybody who would like to, I would just suggest that you might take one of these ideas, maybe like working from your own essence and recognizing the essence of others, or slowing down time. Take an idea and put it into practice. Try to keep that awareness with you while you're in practice and see what happens. See if you notice anything.
Okay, thank you. And I think this will be my last question, and then we'll go to the Q&A. This book, without question, promotes kindness and compassion for caregivers and for the frail elders whom they serve. And so my question to you, after hearing you both talk a lot about treating elders with dignity and respect by carefully listening and by working from your own essence and trying to see another's essence. My question to really both of you is, has working with people with dementia influenced how you interact with people in general? And Ruth, I'll go to you first.
Well, what comes to me as you ask that question is how Sandy interacts with people who work with her. And as someone who has experienced that intimately and at great length, I can tell you that she really lives her talk, and it impacts everything that she does. And it makes it so much easier just to be present in myself. And neither of us that we know of has dementia. But the thing that I feel so, one of the things I feel so positively about this book is that the teachings and the approaches can be utilized by anybody in any relationship. And I have lived that with Sandy, and I am very, very grateful.
And
Shut
Sandy,
her up.
for you?
Thank you, Ruth. It was mutual. Yeah, so how we live in the world is a journey. You know, I think anybody who lives this life knows that it's not easy. It's not easy for anyone. And if they tell you it is, they're not telling the truth. You know, I make mistakes. I try to forgive myself. I try to forgive others. And, you know, all I can just say is it's a process of wanting to learn and grow every day and doing the best we can.
Okay. Thank you. And at this point, and thank you everyone for participating in the chat. I've been trying to follow that, and it's been great to see the things that you are saying. I know that Ruth has been following it as well, and she's going to facilitate the questions that some of you have put in the question and answer box. And if you haven't asked a question yet, please go ahead and type your question in there and we'll try to get to it. Okay, Ruth.
Okay. It's been great watching these come in. So there's a question from actually a woman I know named Irit, who lives in Austin and works with people. She's the executive director of a homeless shelter. So she's asking, talk about, if you will, the eldering process of forgetting a lot without it being dementia, which I think is something that we all think about, since anyone's like me, you forget things. Sandy, is that something we can address?
Yeah, I mean, with aging, you know, things happen with the body and the mind, and I'm not an expert at all to know the difference between when it's dementia and when it's not dementia, only to say that a lot of us have trouble finding words, and I definitely do, and it's not dementia. So I'm not sure I can enlighten and add much to that question.
What occurs to me is it's the same.
Elizabeth has
the same patience with ourselves and with each other as we get older, and as we deal with people who do not have dementia, but lose words. And I think the same. We can bring the same set of tools to all of our relationships, which is essentially what I was saying about what you do and your relationships. So I hope that's helpful, Irit. An anonymous attendee wants to know what it was like having Elderwise in your family home in the early years.
That one I can answer.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, actually. My husband had remodeled our kitchen, which made me think that it would be possible to do something like this. And I had 3 young children at the time, and it was just kind of a family affair. That when it was summertime, the kids would run through, and my husband didn't mind too much because the house was cleaner than usual. And in the morning I'd get up and sort of vacuum and make a pot of something, and people came in. It was just like having your neighbors come in for tea. They would come in for a 4-hour period, and we had tea and toast, we had artistic work, we had lunch together, we had exercise, and we had discussion group. It was just it was very natural and very nice.
So One person wants to know if David Leake has any books or chapbooks of his poetry available. And as far as I know, he does not, but we did include how many?
5.
5 poems. So you'll have to read the book because they're in there and they're absolutely wonderful. Got a question from Terry Turner, who's another friend of mine. My brother has dementia. Will this book give me tools on how to have a conversation, i.e. not asking questions that need an answer, such as, how old is your grandchild?
Yeah, that's a good start right there. And a friend of mine that I just gave a book, her brother has dementia. And she said, it's wonderful. It went from feeling like a burden to feeling like I can enjoy the moment with him. And I think that's, if you can just enjoy that present moment, a present moment is very small, but it can grow and it can enlarge. And so this feeling of this openness that can come if you allow a little space to see what can happen. It's sort of an alert, present situation. And at the same time, at the frustrating times, you can kind of feel that you're also doing your practice by being in the present moment.
Does the Elderwise Way offer any advice about how to manage my own impatience and frustration in dealing with a loved one with Alzheimer's?
Yeah, it's, I think like what Ruth was saying before, to be patient with yourself, to try to take breaks. Please do not get me wrong. I'm not trying to say this is an easy situation. And we all have our limits, and everybody's limits will be different. And we just have to honor our own limits. Can you say the question again?
Sure. Let me. How to manage my own impatience and frustration in dealing with a loved one with Alzheimer's.
Yeah. I don't know. That's it. Just try to find support, support group, friends, outlets, exercise. But it's honest. It comes by honestly that. And, I don't live with someone with memory loss. I spend 4 hours a day, and sometimes that's trying also. It's not to say this is anything easy. So I have huge admiration for everyone out there. Tremendous.
I remember you're talking about it when we were working on the book. And I think there's reference in the book to the fact that there are times you find it challenging when someone asks the same question over and over and over. And that I think what you do, if I remember this correctly, is slow yourself down and focus on the awareness of the essence of the other person, and just take a deep breath and be as present as you can be while they will repeat. I mean, you can't get away from that, and it is exhausting. And you're absolutely right to give yourself ways to take breaks and honor your own needs. But there's other questions.
Just to add one thing to add to that is that I always try to answer the same question in a different way, so that keeps me being creative. And it keeps each question present.
So there's somebody in the chat box is talking about patience is crucial. My husband is 85 and I am 76. We have a good relationship, but the forgetfulness is becoming challenging. How do I bring this topic up to our children?
I have something. I'd say buy a copy of the book and give it to them and start the conversation. That's me.
What a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, I think, just to be open. It's not like it's not, a horrible thing. It's like, if your husband has a broken leg, you don't hesitate to ask the children, for support. It's so, okay, so the brain isn't working as it used to, and we need some support. Let's put our heads together and figure it out.
Yeah, there's another question in the chat box. What about when the frail elder is being resistant, bossy, uncooperative, difficult, tantrumy, etc.? How to cope with that?
Yeah, I am not always successful, believe me. It's and if somebody is at Elderwise and they're causing disruption to the group, if they're in our day program, then they can't stay. So, I don't have a huge success record in challenging behavior. One can try some of the things in the book, try being more open, try listening, try some of these things, but I understand there's no panacea, and sometimes things play out as they play out. And I'm sure other people will have more, educated answers than me.
Somebody wants to know, says, did you mention that you were planning to offer trainings? Can you tell us more about that? Probably we could do that.
Yeah, Elizabeth can speak to that, I think. But I don't think it's early 2021.
Not early 2021?
Not so
well, yeah. So anyway,
I don't think so either.
we are working right now on developing trainings that are based on all the experience and the book. And so those trainings would be, as I think I mentioned before, for care professionals. So there might be a training for that group of people. And then there would also be a training for family and friends of someone who has dementia. So it's still early for us to be talking publicly about that, but we are working on it. So it's a good thing, I think, for all of you to know, and we will certainly be keeping people posted about it on the Elderwise website, which I know Sam has provided in the chat box. So thank you, Sam. Thanks for the question.
Here's something from Sally Friedman, who I have learned from Patty, being an Elderwise, that she smiles when she arrives and when she leaves. I always thought I would want to die when I got dementia, but now I am more open to not dying. As the essence of Patty shines through in her heart and her art, please comment on this, wanting to die. I think there's a little left that she didn't quite say, but I think it's the question. It's certainly anything you'd want to address about dying would probably be just fine.
So if I understand the question correctly, you're saying that some people say, I wouldn't want to live if I had a diagnosis like this. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand the feeling, and again, life is a process. Life is a journey. We don't stay the same. And so I think if it were me, again, I would be open to the journey for what it brings. You don't know what it will bring or what we can work out. And yes, it's not easy. It's not something we ask for. And yet it's our life. We have no choice. Like this doctor said, we have no choice but to live it. And, sometimes there are reasons that we can't understand for things. And for myself, I would just trust in those reasons and, try to live my fullest heart, experience.
can you talk about when it's time for your loved one with dementia to be moved to a memory care facility? How would you approach this decision with the person for whom you are caring?
Yes, again, you'll have to understand there are people that are much more expert in this than me. We have resources in the community, the Alzheimer's Association, and many other resources. But, you know, from a lay standpoint for myself, what I would say is, you know, what I spoke to a little bit earlier, we reach our limits. There are limits to which we cannot function, you know, and so if a person reaches those limits, I was caring for my parents when they were dying. And, you know, it goes well a lot of the time, and it's a treat. It's a very special treat to be able, it was a gift to me to be able to be with them. But there was a point when my father, who he would have been 100 today, there's a point where I was with him and I was so exhausted, and I just said, he has to go to hospice tonight, you know, and he ended up dying that night. So he didn't have to go to hospice. But there's just the level where you can't do it anymore. So how do you bring it up again? Just honestly, look, I can't be with you right now because it's not working, and you love me and you want the best for me too. So we're going to give you the support you need, and I will support you as best I can from the situation. I would say that I could visit you every day, but that's not really the case right now. So life is challenging.
I think you're pretty consistent about honesty and kindness, and in whatever condition someone is in, those are crucial. So I think. So I see that it is 4:58. Sam, are we supposed to be wrapping this up, or can we take another question? Because there are more. Hi, Sam.
Hello. Well, I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Okay.
If you'd like to do that.
All right.
We've got some great questions out there. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, really. I just saw one that asked about how you work with art and music, and now I can't find it. So, but I know it was there, and but so how does art and music fit into creativity, fit into the Elderwise approach?
Right. One thing that we did not mention on this call is that there are three chapters in the books, or 4 chapters in the book about the senses, and there are 12 senses that we have based on Rudolf Steiner philosophy. And that means there's 4 physical senses, 4 feeling senses, and 4 spiritual senses. So the feeling senses have to do with the relationship between ourselves and the world, and they come out through the arts. So, you know, whether it's, you know, cooking and smelling and flower arranging and music and you know, artistic work, clay. So how do we do it? I mean, it's part of our daily fare when we have our day program. And it can be done in any way. And I guess I will mention that right now our day program is closed. And so we have 2 virtual programs, which so they can be accessed from anywhere. We have a virtual program that is through art. It's called Artwise, where we supply you with an art kit, and we have 2 trained facilitators to guide you through an art experience for 1 hour a week. And we have 2 trained facilitators to lead you through a mini-wise, which is more like a supported conversation. It's supported with, so there's a theme, and there's, you know, a way of supporting everyone to be able to speak towards a certain topic, and also to just share and have a social experience with a bit of exercise. That's called mini wise. So we have mini wise and art wise during this time when we are not having our day program. And we look forward to opening that up again as soon as we can.
Let's see, do we have time for more? I guess maybe we could do one more. This is a woman who's just started volunteering with Elderwise on Zoom. Angelica?
Yeah, hi, Angelica.
So I'm going to shorten this up.
Angelica helps with MiniWise.
Okay, great. I myself contemplate about how I will be understood in my older age as I am coming from a different culture. What experiences have you had with people from different cultures, and how do you structure some of your activities around the cultural differences?
Right. And, you know, that's something that I'm sure we could learn from you, Angelica. You know, maybe you can teach us that. And it is, you know, it just behooves us anytime, you know, that we have someone in our program from a different culture, that we make a little more effort to understand that culture and how we can honor it, whether it's through artistic work or celebrating a holiday, or honoring their name in a different language, and just the respect given and honored in that. You know, we won't, you know, we come from a different place. So, I mean, I won't know every culture. So we just have to do our best to reach out and educate ourselves so that people can feel welcome.
We think about it as we're developing the training modules. I know that's something that we're aware of in terms of language, and making sure that we are communicating, doing our best to communicate in a way that people from different cultures and with different primary languages can understand. And Sam, you're there, so I think that means something.
I am here. I am. Well, thank you so much to our authors, our panelists this afternoon, and also to all of you. Incredible questions. And really, I think, you know, we could easily spend a few hours parsing through some of these questions and answering some of them, some really good ones in there. So thank you so much for putting those questions in, and thank you to Sandy and Ruth and Elizabeth for answering them. And I was really struck while listening to this conversation by the themes of kindness and of togetherness and community through the Elderwise Way. I agree that is something that's important to Third Place Books as well. And so thank you so much for pushing that work forward and making it available out in the world. We need you guys, and we need this book. And so thank you so much. I've dropped links there in the chat on the side of the screen to purchase The Elderwise Way, the new book by Sandy Sabersky and Ruth Neuwald Falcon from Third Place Books. We can ship it to you anywhere in the country if you're out of state, or if you're here in the Seattle area, you can pick up this book from Third Place Books. We are glad to have you and to have this book on our shelf. So thank you so much. And to all of you out there, we thank you so much for attending, for spending your afternoon with us. This was a lovely conversation. Huge thanks to Elisabeth Mitchell for moderating, and Sandy Sabersky and Ruth Neuwald Falcon, thank you for writing this book and for joining us this afternoon. To all of you out there, be safe, be well, do good work, read good books, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Third Place.
Thank you all.
And Sandy.
Thank you all for coming.